Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP Shadowheart build in patch 8 of Baldur's Gate 3. Using the new subclasses that we got added to the game, we can actually make a very powerful combination. I've been testing this out and it's quite crazy. Now, I previously believed that the best build for Shadowheart was 11 levels of the Tempest Cleric alongside 1 level of the Wizard to allow yourself to learn spells like Chain Lightning. We can actually go a further step here, which I'll be breaking down in this video. We're going to first, again, start off with Cleric, as that's kind of what Shadowheart is, and the Tempest Cleric, which is the best Cleric domain, I believe, because it gives us maximum amounts of damage on our attack rolls at level 2. It'll give us a Thunder Wave, Fog Cloud, and Wrath of the Storm, so this is a reaction, allows us to do lightning damage or thunder to a target. It's nice to have. Now, we get to take the new cantrips like Toll the Dead. I always recommend having Sacred Flame, but this is a Wisdom save versus a Dex save, so against Goblins early game, Toll the Dead's going to be your best choice, and then we can also get the Bursting Sinew cantrip there. So we're going to go to Tempest domain, and for a high elf cantrip, I would recommend taking Booming Blade if I'm being fully honest. If you can swap this out if you don't have that ability to, that's all right too. This uses intelligence, but we're going to be using a bit of intelligence on this build. Now, since we're adding in the Wizard, this does require some intelligence, so we could go with a stat spread like this. It really just depends on where you're at in the game. Early game, we're going to go all in our Wisdom. You can put your Dexterity up to 16 Wisdom, or 16 Constitution, 14 Dexterity, and be built around that. So if you're running from the start of the game, go with the 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, and 16 Wisdom. But if you're adding this in later on in the game, we do want Intelligence, so that's when you can dump your stat. If you get the Dexterity gauntlets, you can wear those. There's actually a few really good ways we can go about doing this. Dexterity will give you obviously armor classes. We're going to be wearing light armor or clothing, and I've got a very cool combination that we got here. So you can go with something like this, or if you want to dump your Constitution and use the Constitution Amulet, we could go with something like this for the Constitution Amulet, or dump your Dexterity and swap those stats around if you want to use the Dexterity gauntlets. And you can also use the Intelligence Circlet, but I would recommend doing something like this. This is going to give us the best amount of stat spread for what we want to accomplish. Level 2 is when we get our Destructive Wrath, which allows us to maximize the thunder and lightning damage. So we do a roll. So if, let's say Chain Lightning. If there's water set up, that does 80, 168 damage, or 160 damage. It becomes very crazy because this forces the max damage roll, and this is going to be a very important part of this build. Now, we get to choose some spells, and again, since we're taking Lightning, Create or Destroy Water works great here. I like to have the bonus action Healing Word. Command is a nice spell to have too, and then Sanctuary is also quite good, but you can also go with Guiding Bolt if you prefer. Into level 3, we get ourselves a Shatter and Gust of Wind spells for our channel spells, and then we can take ourselves something like Hold Person or Spiritual Weapon here. I'm going to go with the Spiritual Weapon. Now, you can always swap these out at any time if there's something else you prefer. Now, for our cantrip we'll be taking here, Guidance is not a bad choice, and then we can go ahead with like Hold Monster, or even Aid can have its benefits here. And for our ability score improvement. Now, early game, go with a Wisdom increase, so you'd have it at 16, take it up to 18. For this, we're going to go all in on our Intelligence here, because that's going to be where we get most of our spells from once we add in the Wizard. And now we got ourselves Call Lightning and the Sleet Storm, and also Destroy Undead. And we get the ever-powerful Spirit Guardians, one of the best concentrations in the game. And on top of this, we're not going to drop our concentration on Spirit Guardians because we got the we're going to add the Bladesinging Wizard, which adds a proficiency bonus to your Constitution saving throw proficiency, which becomes very powerful. We can also take a different spell. If you don't use Sanctuary, you can take like the Mass Healing Word just to give your whole team a heal. And even Glyph of Warding has its uses. And here's where we get our nice benefit. Thunderbolt Strike. When you deal thunder or lightning damage, you can push a creature up to 3 meters. What's cool about this is Booming Blade will trigger this, and on top of that, Booming Blade deals extra damage when the target moves. So if they're a melee attacker, you can Booming Blade, push them away, and then they'll take the 3d8 of thunder damage on their next turn because they have to move to get into melee range. So that's really crazy. It's super strong. And we'll re-add Sanctuary there. Again, you can swap these out at any given moment just by going to your Cleric Prepare spell list. We could get Ice Storm here, but I think it's best to add in the Wizard at this time because the Wizard brings us a lot of benefits. So for the cantrips, definitely take Booming Blade. Bone Chill is also really nice to stop the target from receiving healing. And then Ray of Frost, this is an okay choice because it'll remove movement speed from the target. Now we need a few spells here. We need Mage Armor because we're actually going to be going with Light Armor. This makes us, oddly enough, extremely tanky. So I'll show you how. And then on top of this, we can also take Witch Bolt's okay, because it actually kind of works well with us. Long Strider, Shield, definitely a spell we want. Magic Missile. Find Familiar can be nice too, and Chromatic Orb, although if you don't want the Find Familiar, you can go with something like Ice Knife to cast while you're silenced. And then we'll roll with this for our prepared spells. So yeah, the Bladesinging Wizard's extremely powerful here because this gives us 2 attacks. We do booming blades, push back on those booming blades. And then if you have haste, you can drop a chain lightning, which is actually crazy. So this gives us the Blade Song, which adds a proficiency bonus to our armor class and a bonus to our constitution saving throws. You get to take 2 more spells here, so we'll just go with the False Life and Ice Knife there. You can take whatever you prefer there. This will just give you a weapon based on, it's basically like the quarter staff you get upon level up. At level 3, we get some more leveled spells. We can take like Scorching Ray and Misty Step for extra survivability and blasting damage. And we'll prepare those. And we also can learn spells from scrolls, which makes us very strong. And then next level, we get another cantrip. So I guess Shocking Grasp, we need to get away from a target. And we'll take Mirror Image, which is, again, furthermore to our defensiveness. Darkness can be a great option if you want to use the Eversight Ring or any other item that's going to give you the ability to see in darkness. But Shadowblade and Mirror Image are great because Shadowblade is going to give us maximum DPS. It makes us very, very powerful. And Shadowblade's there, or Mirror Image is there just to give you some extra tankiness. And for the feat, we'll go again with an increase to our overall intelligence, allowing us to prepare another spell and have a higher spellcasting ability. And we get ourselves some very fun spells. We are always going to take Lightning Bolt because you can maximize the damage on this, and Fireball is just really good as well. And then on top of that, we're going to prepare both of these spells. And for our final level, this is where we get our extra attack, which is huge. So this allows us to do 2 Booming Blades with the pushback. We got haste prepared, which I like to have haste. You can take it, so you can have a sorcerer twin this to yourself as well. Not a bad concentration, but we want to hold Spirit Guardians up as much as we can. Counterspell is another good spell. Fear is another good spell. I'm just going to take haste there just because it's one that's actually pretty nice to have. And we'll go with our counterspell there. So that's where we're going to go for our spell list there, and then putting this all together. So there's actually a lot of really great items here. I really like the Ring of Arcane Synergy, giving you whenever you deal damage with a cantrip, which Booming Blade counts, and we're going to use Booming Blade a lot. We get Arcane Synergy, which adds our intelligence modifier to our damage rolls, so that makes us even more damaging. Killer Sweetheart's always good. We also could get the Diadem of Arcane Synergy here, so this will also give you Arcane Synergy if you just wanted that from a helmet. And we also get the Helmet of Arcane Acuity here, which can stack up Arcane Acuity. This gives us upwards of a +10 to our attack rolls with or our spell rolls after doing weapon attacks, which is further increasing our ability to land some spells. I like the Cloak of Protection. You can go with the Deathstalker Mantle or the Shadeslayer Cloak if you prefer. Now, I'm actually going to go with, this is a little different. So going with a clothing based option allows us to use the Bracers of Defense. So this gives a +2 bonus class to armor, as long as you're not wearing or holding a shield, which we can't because that'll impede our Blade Song. So this becomes actually pretty synergetic because we can use this and with clothing, which also gives us a +2 to armor class. And then on top of that, you can then use Mage Armor to further enhance the amount of basically the armor class of this. And if you really want, you could add on the Ring of Protection there to bring our armor class up to 22. And then we can use the Blade Song to take our armor class up a plus. It only gives us +3 here, proficiency bonus. So we get our armor class up to 25. And then we can use Haste for 27. And then we can use Mirror Image for 36 armor class. So that becomes really tanky in itself. You don't have to use the Bracers of Intelligence, though. You can use the Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power, which is same as the Helmet of Arcane Acuity. It'll give you that Arcane Acuity. I also like the Boots of Stormy Clamor. Stack up Reverberation stacks. This at least gives us something else. We could also take our armor class up even higher by using the Evasive Shoes, but I think this is plenty armor class. I also like to have the Infernal Rapier for the extra bonus to our spell save. But a little pro tip, we can take the Staff of Spell Power or any of the staves that have a free cast on them. And then what we're going to do is use that Arcane Battery and give ourselves a upcasted Shadowblade, which becomes extremely strong. So with the Shadowblade, this gives us a weapon that does a 48 of psychic damage. That is powerful. So with that, this is a finesse weapon too, so it's going to use dexterity. And we also can use the Blade Song with this, so this actually counts as a short sword for the purposes of that. So this becomes the best in-slot weapon. Now, if you have the Resonance Stone, this will give all nearby creatures Steeped in Bliss, which basically makes them vulnerable to psychic, so they'll take double the damage. So we can double our lightning damage by using Create Water to then follow up with a Chain Lightning, which you want to learn from a scroll here. So you can go ahead, learn the Chain Lightning, and then go into your wizard spell list and then take off one of the spells that you aren't going to use. And then on top of that, take the Chain Lightning. So that becomes our big damage number. If you got the Illithid ability free cast, this gives us another free option, or you get 2 of them basically, which is really crazy. And then you can also use Lightning Bolt upcasted for some other damage. So despite not wearing armor, since we have the Bracers of Defense, we can get our armor class quite high. Now, Bladesinging, we could use like light armor, so you could use the ballast armor or the studded armor. That gives you a little bonus to your initiative. That's the best earlier game options, whatever light armor you got available. Also the amulet of greater health, which gives us 129 health there, which makes us pretty powerful. So what this will end up looking like in combat. So we always want to have our spirit guardians up as much as possible, the radiant or necrotic, depending on where you're at in the game. And you can also upcast it too. Like level 4 one's actually not bad too. So use what you prefer. If you got the arcane recovery, you can always replenish your spell slots up to level 3. So probably should just do a level 3 version of that. But yeah, what's nice about that is it gives us we're going to run around dealing damage, so we may as well have spirit guardians up. Also, if you know you're getting into a fight, use create water in that area. Also, there's invisible creatures, it'll make them appear, so that's also kind of nice because you can just literally make them all show up. So create water is going to be a best friend because applying wet will make our chain lightnings do double damage, and I'm going to show you how that's really crazy. So the first thing we want to do is set up our blade song here. So this is going to give us that nice bonus to our armor class, which is going to make us a lot tankier, as this gives us a 36 armor class. So we're quite powerful. Now what we want to do is, since we have our spirit guardians, we want to run around. That's also going to stack up our reverberation, so that's a really great thing to have happen. And we have a few targets here that are wet for only one more turn. So the thing we want to do is chain lightning them. So we could stack up arcane acuity. I guess we don't have that gear on, but 85% hit chance, that's pretty good. I'm going to take my risks here and we'll try that. So destructive wrath will make it so that we deal the maximum amount of damage. Boom, 160, 160, 160, that 3-shot. Yeah, that is really good. With the pushback too, extremely powerful, and they keep getting pushed back. Yeah, chain lightning on this is crazy. So what we want to do is also use our booming blade. So there's an enemy over here we can go hit with booming blade. I knocked myself down from the electric water. That happens. And we're going to hit him with Spirit Guardians and then hit him with the Booming Blade, which is going to stack up our Arcane Synergy. And boom, that's 74, 16, 19. Yeah, that's a lot of damage on there. So that gave us a very powerful hit. And we just have our bonus action here next. So you could pop a Sanctuary if you want to. You got Misty Step for mobility as well. And even Spiritual Weapon is pretty good, or Healing Word. We got a lot of different options depending on what we need. Then we also get a bow attack, because we do have our extra attack, so it's not a bad idea to have a bow on us. I can't make my way over there, unfortunately. That also further stacked reverberation, so that's perfect. And I recommend having the Maul weapon. The Maul is going to allow you to daze targets so that you can hit them with a hold person a lot more freely. We have a bunch of targets grouped up here, so we could run through the electrified water. We got pushed back from it, and that gave us the Spirit Guardians damage, so we'll just run over here. Spirit Guardians is really good. And per action, you can use Booming Blade. So I got haste on my character here just to be able to show off the build a little bit better. So you can do a Booming Blade, follow it up with just a regular weapon attack, which is still very powerful. So you can go ahead with that. And yeah, 48 damage, 17 with Spirit Guardians. Pretty crazy. So yeah, that is strong. And then we have one more target here that we can attack. And we got other spells. Like we got Magic Missile. We got Scorching Ray, which is going to be some good damage. We got Call Lightning, which does require your concentration. We got Lightning Bolt, so that's another really powerful spell that we got that we could use here. So we'll just blast with that and use the Destructive Wrath to maximize the damage. 48, pretty powerful. I'm not sure what's going on with this guy, but we were surviving. So sometimes you do have to play a bit more defensively. I'm ensnared here and I can't actually make my way there. So there's situations like this where we're in a tough spot, but when in doubt, fireball it out. And we got level 5 spell slots. So that's a nice thing about using the wizard and another caster is you got, oh geez, I'm not sure how they got hit with my Spirit Guardians, but that mysterious game at times. Yeah, you got spells that can hit very hard, like your classic fireball and Spirit Guardians, so we may as well use those whenever possible. That's not in the essence of the Tempest Cleric, however it's pretty powerful nonetheless. So we also got this large group heal we can do to help pick up our teammate that went down there. And that's exactly what we want to do. We got lots of options as far as offensiveness goes. And to finish them off, since we got free cast, we may as well just use our Chain Lightning, although it's not going to chain anyone. Not the greatest hit chance, but I'll risk it. Boom. That was enough to take him out. So that is the most OP Shadowheart build. I think using the Bladesinging Wizard is huge because that gives us that extra armor class, and especially with the gear that we got there, pretty good armor class. We got it up to 36, which is crazy. So very tanky, very great at spellcasting, very great at melee, lightning, thunder, everything, you name it. This is crazy. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. We'll see you in the next one.